Hello and welcome to another episode of the Running Tales podcast. I'm Craig Lewis, and this week I've been talking to two of Northampton Saints' wheelchair rugby team, Steve Montgomery and Gerry McCrory. Now, you may be asking why a podcast which aims to tell the extraordinary stories of everyday runners, wheelchair racers and race walkers is featuring two rugby players. And it's a good question. But we wanted to take a look at what life is like for disabled and wheelchair athletes in general, what sports are available to them, and how wheelchair athletes feel they are being treated by able-bodied ones. Steve and Gerry were both fascinating on those questions, and I also got to speak to Steve about his wheelchair racing experiences. Despite only taking up the sport a little over a year ago, Steve has clocked up a sub-18-minute parkrun, and he competed in this year's London Marathon alongside the elite wheelchair racers. Not bad for a 54-year-old who spent most of his life with little or no interest in sport. But I started off this week's chat by asking Gerry, an amputee who uses a prosthetic but competes in a wheelchair when playing rugby, what opportunities are available for wheelchair athletes.
I think it's very easy to get into wheelchair sports, no matter what that is. Should it be tennis, rugby, basketball? It's very accessible. There's loads of equipment at either of those clubs. And all you have to do is you just have to reach out. And maybe I think some of them could be better advertised. I think the Saints do very well with the rugby, and it's out there, it's on the platform, it's in their magazines, it's on the website, knowing that they're really behind it, and I think they try through the community program to get it out there so people are aware of it. The basketball and tennis and stuff like that, maybe just not as much. People are aware of it, and we've had people that come along to us at the rugby and they could tell, no, it's not for me. It didn't click. And unfortunately, that can happen. It's not for everybody. But we will do our best to signpost them somewhere else. It's not like, see you later type of thing. There's a follow-up process. Well, have you tried basketball? Have you tried this? Or you point them in that direction. There's archery, there's shooting, there's everything you can think of. So I think it's very easy to get into. I had no problem getting into it. And I think once you're in, you're in. You're hooked. It's one of those things, no matter what that sport should be. I've tried a few of them. I always go back to rugby because rugby was my first love. I do shooting, but I don't do it in the wheelchair. I sit seated down just beside someone who's in a wheelchair, because I don't actually need a wheelchair being an amputee. So yeah, what's your thoughts on that, Steve?
I'd agree. I think you've got to want to do things as well. I mean, the two sports I do, racing and wheelchair rugby, I never thought, going back 6-7 years ago, that I would enjoy them as much as I do. So I think it's really good to try and seek out taster sessions. Generally, there's some really good charities out there. Just have a go at things. You might not enjoy the sports to begin with. Just have a go at things. Find something that you like. But most of the sessions that I've been to, not just wheelchair rugby and racing, but other things that I've tried, people have been so friendly. It's such a nice environment. Just go out, get involved, hunt these things down, have a go.
I'm a mentor for an agency called Limpower, and what they do every year, they do it for juniors at the beginning of June, and they do it for adults at the end of June. And it's a weekend down to Stoke Mandeville to the Olympic Lodges, where you get to try every Paralympic sport that is going. And all you have to do, you don't even have to be a wheelchair user as long as you've got a disability. And you come, so that is another way to make it so accessible to people that, this is easy. And you see people come along who go, I don't fancy doing rowing. I've never done archery. I've never done shooting. Never done rock climbing. And all of a sudden you see them have those light bulb moments, and they're like, where's my nearest club? So there's somebody there from that federation, and they're finding the clubs for them. And before you know it, you're getting emails back, no, I took this up, I've took that up. So that, I think there's so much out there. As Steve said, you've got to have a little bit of want in you to do it as well.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, this is maybe a different way of asking the same question, but I guess when you're playing in a wheelchair rugby team, you're all in a wheelchair. There's some sports you'll do where you might turn up and you'll be competing alongside or against able-bodied athletes, particularly in, you've done the London Marathon recently, haven't you, Steve? Yes. How is accessibility when you come to those sort of things? Is that just as good?
Well, probably Steve might be better answering this, but I'll give my answer from my point of view. And I walk just as well as anybody else. I'm an amputee with a prosthetic leg, so I do go along to shooting events. Not as much now as I used to, weightlifting events and stuff. I found it no problem. For me, accessibility and for the people around me in wheelchairs who I'm very wary of, they were just motoring along and everybody was just along. I think when you have a disability, and there's other disability people there and able-bodied people, we just better crack on and get it done, and get to where we need to and do what we need to do. It's more for the able-bodied people that they're like, do I help? Do I not help? Or what do I do or what do I not do? So yeah, you can see them sometimes. Sometimes we'll play on it, we'll play on it, but that's just a bit of fun, light-hearted fun. What's your thoughts, Steve?
Generally, I've not really had any issues. Certainly with the bigger events, things like London Marathon, Great North Run, they're so tuned in to dealing with wheelchair racers. They just kind of crack on with it, and, just kind of get on, and it's been really, really easy. For some smaller sporting events, some of the smaller local races, I've had a little bit of resistance where some of the race directors are not used to wheelchair races, so a little, sometimes there's a little bit of hesitation. But generally, most of the race directors I've got have been, more than willing to accommodate me and just make a very minor change to a course.
And courses sometimes with parkrun, I'm thinking in particular. I know you've done the Northampton one, and I think I'm fair to say that you've been very much welcome there, and you've really enjoyed it. Yeah. But
that's a really good example, because when I first started the parkrun, I started at the same time as all the runners, and I'd get snarled up with the runners. And even though I'd be a little bit quicker than them overall, initially they'd have the advantage on me from the start line, and then I'd be like trying to get past them. So just a very subtle change to give me a 30-second head start made all the difference, and they've been more than willing to do that.
And runners do pretty well to keep up with you, wouldn't they? Because I've seen some of your parkrun times.
Yes, yeah. I think I've been up there at like number 5, 6, 7, 8 position. So
you about 19 minutes.
I think my record was 17. I think I'll have to double check, but it's kind of around there.
Yeah, and both of you really, but perhaps if you could start with Steve. I mean, what's the do's and don'ts of how to treat wheelchair athletes, disabled athletes, when they're competing alongside able-bodied athletes? I mean, I guess to go back to the parkrun, one of the first things might be, like you just said, with that moving you 30 seconds forward has just helped everybody. And also, when you're out on doing the course, it's that kind of how should people react to get out of your way or make sure that you've got the right amount of room. And
generally, just a very small brief at the beginning of a race is enough. Just make people aware that I'm there. Keep people to one side if possible. That's it really. Just kind of treat us as normal. We're nothing special. We just want to kind of enjoy the race the same as everybody else. So as long as we're welcomed.
I've heard one or two. I mean, I don't want to be negative about this, but I've heard one or two sort of horror stories about wheelchair athletes having their chairs grabbed by well-meaning runners who are really not helping. Has that ever happened to you?
No, I've not had the chair grab, but I did have somebody kind of use me to kind of give them a push start at the start, which was a little bit outrageous. But these things happen, really.
And Gerry, I know we were talking beforehand. I know you are not running at the moment, but you have hopes to be running soon.
Yes, indeed, yeah. I'm in the process of, very lucky, actually, by Osser. That's the people in Iceland who make prosthetic legs. Make the feet, that go on a prosthetic leg. Conjunction with Nike are sponsoring me to give me a running blade. So the running blade's in the country. It's just a matter of time now to get the hospital appointments through to go in and start getting the socket made and getting it all put together. I don't think it's going to happen before Christmas. I would love it to happen before Christmas. It'd be a great way to start the new year, getting out running. But whenever it happens, it happens. It'll be great to do it again, because it's actually been a while since I've actually went on a run, and I'm really looking forward to it.
So for people who don't know, this wasn't a condition that you were born with, so you've done running previously.
Oh yes, yeah, I played rugby and everything at a high level, martial arts, I've been into fitness all my life. I had an accident back in 2001, and then that led to several operations that year to save my leg, which it did, but it was never right. And then 6-7 years ago now, my ankle crumbled when I was working on a job in London, and just resulted in I had to make the decision. It was on my hands to make a decision, And I said, let's just get it off, make a fresh start. And you know what? It's been the best thing ever. I'm probably fitter now than I ever was. The prosthetic leg I have, I'm pain free compared to the ankle I had for like those 16, 17 years where they patched up, you know. So yeah, really was able-bodied, enjoyed my runs before my workouts and stuff. Sometimes I used to run to the gym, have a workout and run home again. Now will I be fit to do that when I get my prosthetic running blade? I don't know. But it just would be nice. And I guess like a lot of runners, I might be guessing, but I used to love running in the rain. If I heard the rain in the windows, I'd have been putting my running shoes on and away. I might even be doing a good time, but it's just that feeling running. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that actually, just running in the rain.
But in the meantime, you've been playing a lot of wheelchair rugby. You both play wheelchair rugby, and you've been pretty successful recently. Tell us about your wheelchair rugby generally, and this most recent achievement.
We've done all right for a group of people that got together about 6 years ago. Five, 6 years. We're probably coming into our 6th year, and then you had COVID in the middle of that, so there was 2 years where there weren't very much happening. So if you wanted to put it into a nutshell, kind of 4 years of competitive play. We won the championship twice.
And that's playing for
Northampton Saints, wheelchair rugby team. So we won the championship twice. We won the Premiership and the Midlands League Development League. And then that qualified us to go out to Poland, which was just 2 weeks ago, to play in the first ever European Cup. And we came second in that. It was a really heated battle between us and Tigers. Went into extra time like it normally does every time we play Tigers. We won the last time when it went into extra time, and it was their turn to win this time. And fair play to them, you know. That's how that game goes, you know. We're fierce rivals on the court, but at the end of the day, we're all disabled and we respect each other highly off the court.
And for people who don't know, how does wheelchair rugby work? Because I can imagine there's some people listening to this going, well, how's that possible with the sort of way that rugby players tackle each other?
Quite a fast game. There's not that many rules. There are quite a lot of rules, but not that many that you need to worry about. Essentially,
it's rugby generally, that.
Yeah. Essentially, you've got to get the ball from one court to the other within 12 seconds. You have to bounce the ball every 10 seconds, and you've got to score within 40 seconds. That's essentially it.
So how does the tackling work?
Just bash each other on the chair, pretty much. It's like bumper cars in wheelchairs.
I got hit for the first time in a chair. I laughed, I giggled my head off, and I thought, I'm in here. And I hadn't a clue what I was doing. I was never in a wheelchair in my life. I'd done my recovery when I lost my leg on crutches. The first time I ever sat in a wheelchair is when I went along to the first training session. Couldn't even steer the thing, didn't know how to power it, where it was left or right. A lot of coaching from these guys who are wheelchair users. And the rest is history. But it's, to the untrained eye who's watching it, just looks frantically fast and a lot of hard hitting. But every one of them hits it's like a game of chess. I'll be classed as the ball carrier, so I'd be the one to be taking the ball from one end to the other end to try and score. People like Steve and my other teammates around me will be hitting and putting those very careful blocks in at the right times to free the field up for me so I can get free. Yeah. You know, and if I can't get free and I come to a jam, one of them then know how to roll out of their block to take the ball from me and move on. It's all about keeping the ball moving forward, you know, in the game. But like how rugby is, but I would put it as a crazy game of chess.
It's very strategic. Yeah. So the essence is to basically stop and block. But the way that you kind of can progress the ball forward can be quite strategic. And there are some quite fine skills to ensure that kind of moves quite smoothly.
And we were speaking briefly beforehand, and you were saying that when it ultimately comes to it, you don't necessarily see yourselves simply as wheelchair rugby players, but ultimately just as rugby players.
Yeah, we do. Me personally, when I was playing rugby, I just used to lace on a pair of boots and away you go. Now I'm putting my wheels on my chair and away I go. To me, it's actually no different. But I think one of the things that drives that home more for, I can't speak for other clubs, but I can definitely speak for our club, the Saints. You are one club. You're treated as one club. And that's from the top, from the boss man right down to us and any other thing that's below us in the community program. We're one club, one team, one club. If you're wearing that badge, if you're lucky enough and proud enough to get to wear it, you are a member of Northampton Saints. You're a rugby player. That's it. Doesn't matter if you're male, female, disability, able-bodied, just doesn't matter. If the badge is on your chest and you're playing a game, you're classed a member of Northampton Saints. And for me, at 47, soon to be 48 years of age, and disabled and thinking you're never going to get back into playing a sport again, for me, that's the icing on the cake for me, because it's always been for me when I'm a member of a club, I am a member of the club, I play for the badge. I always did when I was playing from even from school sports free. I was always passionate about the badge. And for Northampton Saints to come out and back us in the way they do and make you feel as part of, just don't make it. It's just one of them things. You're part of the club, and that's it. And that's phenomenal for me.
Puts a big smile on your face.
It does, yeah.
I mean, I'm not a sporty person at all. I've never been, I've always done office jobs. I've never had any interest in doing sports until, 5-6 years ago. I turned up for a taster session. The Saints were running a wheelchair rugby session, turned up, fell in love with it on day one. Haven't looked back. Everyone's been so welcoming. It really is like a little family. We all look out for each other.
For you, Steve, did the wheelchair rugby start before the racing?
Yes, much before. So I've only been racing a little over a year, really, about a year and a month. So I've been quite lucky with the things that I've done with racing as well, and that was just pure opportunistic, really.
Tell us a little bit about some of the racing you've done. We mentioned you've done London Marathon, but we didn't mention was that you did it as one of the elite competitors.
Yeah, so I was in the elite race. I'm still not quite sure how that happened, really, considering how long I've been racing. But yeah, the opportunity to qualify for the race came up with the London Big Half. So I'd had a target time set for me, and if I could meet that time, I'd be given a place in the marathon. So I literally just within about 20 seconds hit that time. So I was, just about there. So I got placed in the London Marathon on the elite race. So I'm on the start line with the likes of David Weir and So it's like a bit crazy, really.
Yeah, and how did it go on the day?
It was absolutely fantastic. The week before, I'd suffered quite a serious injury in training at Draycott. I'd managed to go down a slope too fast, flip the chair over. So I'd done a really serious injury to my shoulder, wrote off a pair of wheels on the race chair. So literally a week after that, I was doing the London Marathon. It was questionable whether I'd even be able to do it because my shoulder was hurting. On the day, I just thought, I've got to give it a go. And I got a time of 2:34, I think it was. So, not the best time, but I've only been racing a year. So I did it. At the end, I was absolutely beat up. I was so tired, in such a lot of pain, but I did it.
I mean, it's a fantastic achievement. It's a fantastic achievement for absolutely anyone to do the marathon. But that's just a superb time. What a wonderful thing to do to compete with those elite athletes.
Yeah, it was crazy, and the whole event, the day was just fantastic. The crowds were brilliant. It was just phenomenal, unforgettable experience. So hopefully I'll get a chance to do it again.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have your eyes on London again or any other marathons?
Yeah, you should do. And I'm doing a half marathon in Lanzarote next week. First international event. It should be quite warm, bit of sunshine, be quite nice. I'm 54. I've been doing this a year. I've got no aspirations to be number one or anything like that. I don't think it would even be possible, but I'm having fun. I found something, an individual sport as opposed to a team sport that I can just kind of get on, just enjoy it on the day.
Do you wish, you've been doing the racing for just over a year, you've been doing the rugby for 4 or 5 years, you talked about having done an office job beforehand, but you're in your 50s now. Do you wish you sort of found it when you were in your mid-20s, early 30s, something like that?
There's a bit of me that thinks perhaps, but, if I look back, so I was injured in '96. I was, I had a spinal cord injury following a fall. Back when I had my injury, I had no desire to do anything sporty, really. If things had been different, perhaps if I'd have found this, 20 years ago and enjoyed it as much, could have been quite different. But I doubt very much back then that I would have even tried it, to be fair. So, I think you've got to be in the right mindset and actually want to do something. And I think for me, it was the wheelchair rugby that kind of pushed me on. So, wheelchair rugby kind of encouraged me to get fitter. That encouraged me to lose weight. Losing weight encouraged me to give this a go. So it all really came from that one taster session that I enjoyed with the rugby.
Fantastic story. For both of you, really, and I appreciate I could equally ask this to able-bodied runners and athletes and so on as well, but how much does the sport help you and help people with disabilities just to, I don't know, feel a bit better about life as a whole, particularly, if you've had a traumatic injury and it's, say, left you in a wheelchair? That's a massive change to your life. I mean, how important can sport be to help within that sort of process?
I think sport's everything in that process, even for able-bodied people. Just stress of work, whatever, get out for a run, go to the gym. Even if you've got a punch bag in the backyard and you're just out swinging. Just those, we all know the benefits of sports, the endorphins and everything released, but I think when you come to a disability sport and you've got someone like Steve's story, it wasn't even sport if you take it like this man's inspirational. He inspires me so much. Like what he has done. when I was first coming and playing rugby against Steve, and learned know how to use a chair, I could get, and this not disrespectful Steve in any way, it was quite easy to stay away from him, with my speed over Steve's speed. Then COVID came along and Steve decided in lockdown that he was going to lose weight, and boy did he lose weight and get himself really fit. And maybe when we come back to training, I was going, hang on a minute, I worked really hard over COVID on my fitness. And I mean, I really did. I was working hard on my fitness over COVID and keeping myself really fit. But Steve's just there. He's not going away anymore. What is going on?
Bit of a pain in the side.
Yeah, but so inspirational, And then for him to go off and find his individual sport, I'm really in awe of Steve, for the things that he's done. He's changed his life around. But it's just not Steve. It's just another club, and just not our club. All our disability sports. I see it all the time with limb power that I work in. People, I won't mention any names, but people who are suicidal. Have been suicidal at the point that they come to us. Not so much in the wheelchair rugby, but at limb power and stuff. And they get sent my way a lot, and I'll spend a lot of one-to-one time with them and find a sport that they want. And it's normally a sport that they never ever tried, and they have a light bulb moment. And then you get these little text messages random, life's great, I'm doing this, I've joined a club, I've bought a gun, I'm doing this, and it's just, and even if you come back to the rugby, we've had three or four guys, and I've said to us over the years, if they hadn't have found the club, they're pretty sure they wouldn't be here now, some have mentioned saved their marriages, some is, it's been life changing, and I think that's just the power of sport. No matter when it comes into your life, at what age, or if you've been at it all your life, or if you had to have a break from it, and then you go back and find a different sport. I just think that there's kids now from COVID, unfortunately, they've had that break from school, they've got out of the habit of out running about and playing around. The Xbox is coming important to them, and the PlayStation, which was great over COVID because it kept them in contact with their friends. They could stay in contact via line, and I get all that. But it's just getting them back out there again. And I think mental health will improve. I think everything will improve. Their focus, their concentration, their will. It sounds like I'm doing a bit preachy there, but I know what it does for me and my mental health. I suffer from PTSD, and if I don't train daily, I'm a nightmare to be around. And if my wife listens to this podcast, she'll probably say I'm a nightmare to be around anyway. And so will most of the people at the team, because I'm always on it and on, I want this done, I want this, I need us to do this, we need to be doing this now. And that's just the way I operate. But yeah, sport's been my savior, and I would say the Wheelchair Rugby Club coming along at the right time in my life. I've been extremely lucky to fall in with these bunch of people. They're a family now. That's what it is.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's like, as I said earlier, it's about trying to just kind of get out there and try taster sessions, because you'll find that, I'm sure most people will find a sport, and it most likely won't be the sport that they thought that they were going to find, unless you have a go at these things. How do you know? And there are so many sports that you can try. There's so many really good organisations out there.
Looking maybe slightly from the outside, I suppose, but it strikes me that disability sport has come on leaps and bounds in recent years. It wasn't that very long ago where it kind of didn't really happen at all. Then we kind of had the Paralympics, but it was a separate event, and it was kept away from the main event, as it were, and now it's sort of all moving into one. We have things like the Invictus Games, we have things like wheelchair rugby coming and becoming quite prominent. We had the I think we were talking earlier again at the Rugby League, but it's now on mainstream TV, and people are getting really excited about it. It just strikes me that there is a real momentum behind disability sport at the moment.
There is, and I think the Olympics been held in this country powered that on. And then of course we've had a lot of success with the Team GB in the rugby, and then just recently again Rugby League, Team GB again, and then individuals in disability sport as well, like some of our own local Northampton swimmers and different people. It's just, I think it's at that stage, and I think social media plays a big part in this as well, because you can put yourself in people's faces now. You can put yourself in people's living room on a daily basis if you're clever enough on social media to do that, So I think there's a lot of things come to play, and I think there's a lot of organisations and different businesses and different things have changed how they treat disability people, and they've come, just things have come on so well. And if you think in the last 8 years how well it's coming on, I think in another 8 years from now, maybe 10 years from now, I think, and I would love it to happen, I would love the word disability to go away from it and just be sport. What sport's on the night? Oh, wheelchair rugby's on. What sport's on the night? Wheelchair tennis is on, or swimming, Paralympic version of swimming, whatever the case would be. I would really love the word disability to go away, because for me, I personally don't like the word. Now, that's nothing against anybody that uses, because that's the word that's there, you know. And I would love to start some sort of campaign to change the word, but I don't know how to go. I'm not clever enough how to do that. But I won't take credit for this, because I can't. One of our teammates, Casey, he said it, like, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. We happened to be on air, and he said it. And he was asked a question about his disability. He says, "I see it as a different ability, not a disability." Mm. I think it hit me like just getting a slap up the face. I went, I love that. Different ability. I thought, we've got to get that out there, and if it does get out there, it'll have to go all credit to Casey Higgins. But I do believe it needs to get out. I love the sound of it. Different ability. We're human. We play sport. I've just got a different ability to you. Because to me, when I hear that word disabled, I mind years ago I was working after school in a job, and it was every time something broke or whatever, I got a disabled sticker put on it because it was disabled, and then it went and skipped. Yeah. And I was like, it stuck with me, and I think, well, no, I'm disabled. Do we skip them off? No, that's it. They're there now. Will they be useful? Will they not be useful? And so, yeah, different ability. You look out for that, because I'm going to keep saying it.
Yeah, no, it's got my ring to it.
It is, yeah.
No, I really like that. And just to wind it out, guys, I'm just thinking now, what's next for you, perhaps with your running, Steve, but also for you both with sport in general and the wheelchair rugby?
I don't think I've got time to take up any more sports. I know that much. So, yeah, probably just more races, more wheelchair rugby.
For me, as I said earlier, really looking forward to get me running blade now. Will I take up running as to go like Steve racing or doing a lot in Marvin or something? I don't know. I'll have to see how I get on with it and where I'm at with it, and it takes up a lot of time as well. But I just want to enjoy it first, and that freedom of just running. I want to experience that again, and we'll see where we're at with it as far as the running. Wheelchair rugby, we'll be winding down over the next couple of weeks now and getting our Christmas break. But after Christmas break, we'll be flat out. Come, I think it's the 9th of January, we're back at it again. And that'll be getting ready for the Premiership to defend our title. And any people out there listening who's got family, friends, or you're listening yourself, you're disabled, you want to come and give this sport a try, just get onto the website, Northampton Saints Community Programme. There'll be a number there or an email, drop them a line. Somebody will jump back onto you, tell you where we train, what times. You'll be more than welcome. You don't need any equipment. You don't need nothing. Just show up. You'll be welcomed. And as I say, if it doesn't work out for you and it's not for you after 4 or 5 taster sessions, we'll point in the right direction to a sport that will be. Yeah, that's our plans. It'll be rugby. I would like to get back shooting again. It's just times we've work at the moment, so I shot pretty competitive for a while, and I would like to get back into that again, and still do a little, but nowhere near what I want to. So, but get a bit more me time, maybe. I'll get that done.
One last question I want to ask while I think about it, because I think it's really important, actually. Northampton Saints wheelchair rugby team obviously been phenomenally successful. How can people come and watch you guys play?
Well, again, keep an eye out on the Saints social media. Because of the nature of the sport, it's done on tournaments, over weekend tournaments, and they're held at Stoke Mandeville at the moment. But I know GBWR, that's a federation that runs the rugby, they are looking at spreading them out over the countryside, and they're going to do it this year near the end of it, just as a tester session to see how it works. Because Stoke Mandeville has got lodges there where people can stay. It's got the big courts where people can play. It's the home of Paralympic sports. But we train at Kettering as well as in Northampton at, what do you call it, Kettering, the village?
Leisure Village.
Leisure Village, yeah. So we train there. We did have our home leg there of the Midlands League Development League was held there, and again hopefully that'll be held again this year. So just keep an eye out on the Saints social media. It will pop up where we're playing, and we are starting to get a bit of a fan base. There's fans coming along now, and it's nice to hear them sing in the background. Quite a few came out to Poland actually to watch. You hear that "Come On You Saints" song playing in the background. It spurs you on when you most need it. So yeah, come and watch us, come and join in. Yeah, children, we've got a junior station as well for young kids with disability. That's from 6 o'clock to 7. Phenomenal. Probably better than us if I'm being truthful.
Well, do you know what a way to finish the podcast, I think. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Well done on everything you've achieved, and keep on going.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us on another Running Tales podcast. I hope you found Steve and Gerry's story of their successes both with Northampton Saints and in wheelchair racing as fascinating as I did. If you enjoy the Running Tales podcast in general, we really need your support to keep this going. We'd love you to give us a positive review wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's Spotify, Apple, or anywhere else. It really helps other people to find this podcast, to give it a boost up the ranking lists and hopefully to help make it more and more popular with people. Also, please remember that we now have a Substack newsletter. We have both free subscriptions and paid ones. The paid subscriptions are vitally important to everything we do. I don't particularly like to beg for money in the run-up to Christmas, although it's a wonderful Christmas gift to give. But it's very, very important that we get this backing to be able to keep going, to keep the podcast going, to keep the Substack going. So please have a little look at what we do on Substack. Have a little look at the subscriptions offer we have. It's just £5 a month. In the meantime, check out everything we're doing on social media, on our Facebook page at Running Tales Podcast, on Twitter and Instagram at Running Tales Pod. We've also got a YouTube channel. Maybe one day we'll have a little look at TikTok as well, but I'm not quite sure I'm ready to show my dancing to the world. Thanks again for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you next week on the Running Tales Podcast.